In other words, and this is really important for you guys to understand, China is a hallucination of a hallucination. It's not real. Okay, I'll explain more about this later on, okay? All right, so once this hallucination is imposed onto the GCC in China, this creates demand for the US dollar, okay? And this creates certain stability for the US dollar. And it made China very, very wealthy, okay? But it's all just an illusion. It's all just a mirage. There's certain problems with this system. First of all, China doesn't have any creativity, okay? Why? Because if you're a hallucination of a hallucination, there's nothing for you to base yourself on. Okay? You're a shadow of a shadow. That's the first problem. Second problem is wealth extraction. Okay? The idea here is that whatever wealth China creates has to return to the source. Because the people inside China appreciate that the renminbi, its entire value is based on the US dollar. So would you rather have renminbi or US dollar? Of course you want US dollar, okay? And the third problem is the fragility of this system, okay? Meaning that if this system, the hallucination is unstable, then China is even more unstable because it's a hallucination of a hallucination. Okay, do you understand? Okay, so once we understand this, then we begin to reassess what happened these past 10 years. Why do the United States and China fight this trade war? The reason why is that China believed that it could be independent of this hallucination. In fact, it could create its own hallucination. And the United States says, no, 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 guys. No, no, no. You're going to be dependent on us. So then they start to fight this trade war. And once this trade war happened, what happened? A lot of money and people start to flee China and move back to the United States. Okay? And now what China has recognized is, okay, first of all, we can't actually leave this hallucination because if this hallucination were to collapse, we collapse as well. So one thing we can do is actually to recouple, okay? To bind ourselves even greater to the system. Another way of saying this is that the global economy is under a lot of strain. There are two main beneficiaries of the global economy, the United States and China. So both are heavily invested in maintaining the illusion, the hallucination that is the global economy, okay? And to appreciate how fragile all this is, think of the UAE, okay? The UAE. The UAE seemed as though it was a very prosperous place, right? It had universities from America, like Georgetown, Cornell. It had people, the wealthiest people, flocking to Dubai.